There's a quiet wonder that settles when we imagine the world as it was thousands, even tens of thousands of years ago. A time before the hum of cities, before highways carved paths across the land, before electric lights illuminated the darkness. There were only the soft rustle of trees, the whisper of the wind across mountains and plains, the rhythmic crash of waves on distant shores. And in that stillness, human beings were beginning to leave traces of themselves, traces that would endure long after they were gone. The marks of their hands on stone, the arrangements of their dead, the delicate scratches of symbols whose meaning has faded into obscurity. These traces invite us, gently, to lean closer, to listen, and to wonder. Who were they? What did they think about when night fell? What dreams did they weave? What questions did they ask of the stars? Some mysteries reach us across the millennia in the form of massive stone structures that defy our modern expectations. Pyramids so perfectly aligned that they echo with mathematical precision, walls so vast they seem almost impossible to move without machines that do not yet exist. Other mysteries are softer, quieter, a buried city whose outlines are just faint impressions beneath layers of earth and sand, a manuscript inscribed in a language we cannot read, or a tale told through generations whose meaning has been lost. In every corner of the ancient world, there are hints of knowledge, skill, and thought that leave us both in awe and in humble uncertainty. They remind us that while we like to believe that we understand the world, the past has always held secrets that remain stubbornly, intriguingly beyond our grasp. Even as we uncover more about these civilizations, the more we learn, the more questions arise. There is a paradox to studying the ancient world. Each discovery brings clarity, yet it also illuminates vast areas of ignorance. Archaeologists can unearth the tools people used, the bones of those who lived and died, and fragments of their dwellings. But the thoughts behind those tools, the ideas that guided the construction of immense temples, the beliefs that shaped entire societies, these often remain elusive, flickering at the edges of understanding. A carved relief might show a ritual, but why it was performed, what it meant to those who observed it, we can only imagine. A tablet may contain numbers or signs, but the language behind them may be lost, leaving only the rhythm of the symbols as a ghostly echo. It is this tension between what we know and what we cannot know that makes the past so compelling, so quietly mesmerizing. As we embark on a journey through 100 of these unsolved mysteries, we move not in haste, but in gentle observation, letting the layers of history unfold around us. Some mysteries are physical, visible in stone and clay. Others are ephemeral, existing only in memory, myth, or the subtle alignments of stars and rivers. We will encounter civilizations that rose and fell with astonishing speed, leaving behind monuments that continue to puzzle us. We will hear of individuals whose lives and deaths are shrouded in intrigue, and of objects so intricate and advanced that they seem almost impossible for their time. Each mystery is a doorway, inviting contemplation, drawing the mind into a quiet rhythm where curiosity and imagination coexist. The ancient world was not uniform. Across continents, people developed unique languages, customs, and technologies, yet certain motifs seem to echo with eerie similarity. The flood stories of Mesopotamia, India, and the Americas suggest that some events may have been remembered across oceans and centuries. Megalithic structures in Europe, Africa, and Asia raise questions about engineering knowledge that appear surprisingly consistent despite the isolation of these societies. Symbols and motifs recur in ways that hint at shared ideas or perhaps a universal imagination. It is as if there exists a hidden network of human thought, partially recorded in stone, bone, and text, yet always leaving room for uncertainty, for wonder, for speculation. The tension between clarity and obscurity is central to understanding why these mysteries continue to captivate us. We are drawn to them not merely as puzzles to be solved, but as companions in a quiet meditation on time and human endeavor. Every carved line, Every buried structure, every undeciphered inscription is a whisper from the past, a suggestion that there is more to reality than what meets the eye. And yet, there is a calmness in this unknown, a gentle acceptance that some things may never be fully explained. In a world obsessed with certainty, there's a rare comfort in mysteries that endure, inviting us to imagine, to wonder, to drift through the quiet corridors of history without needing to reach a definitive answer. As we move through deserts, jungles, mountains, and oceans in search of these ancient enigmas, it is essential to maintain a sense of reverence. These are places where people once lived, loved, labored, and dreamed. Cities that now lie in ruin were once vibrant, filled with sounds, smells, and emotions we can only guess at. And yet, even in their silence, these remnants speak to us, calling our attention to questions that may not have answers. Why did this civilization rise and fall? What purpose did this monument serve? What knowledge did they possess, and why did it vanish? In every mystery, there is both a shadow and a light. The shadow of what is lost, and the light of curiosity that drives us to seek it out. To fully appreciate these mysteries, one must also consider the sheer span of time. Thousands of years can erase entire cultures from memory, leaving only fragments to hint at lives once lived. Geological shifts, climate change, and natural disasters have buried evidence beneath layers of earth, sand, and silt. Human activity, war, urbanization, and even the simple passage of time has altered or destroyed traces of the past. Yet, against these odds, many secrets remain, waiting patiently for discovery. They remind us that the ancient world was not a static tableau, but a dynamic, evolving landscape, full of creativity, innovation, and stories yet untold. Perhaps the most compelling aspect of these mysteries is their ability to bridge past and present. Standing before a perfectly cut stone that has survived millennia, one cannot help but feel a connection across time. It is a moment when the past feels intimate, almost alive. The same is true when we examine ancient writings, symbols, or artifacts. We may not understand them fully, yet they evoke recognition, a resonance of thought and intention across the ages. There is a profound, almost poetic satisfaction in knowing that, despite centuries of loss and change, human ingenuity, wonder, and curiosity persist. Tonight, we invite you to embark on a slow journey through 100 mysteries of the ancient world. Mysteries that remain unsolved, unresolved, or only partially understood. Some will whisper of enormous civilizations, their grandeur and decay. Others will speak softly of rituals, beliefs, and knowledge almost lost to time. Some will challenge our assumptions about what ancient people could accomplish, while others will leave us in quiet contemplation, pondering the infinite possibilities of human imagination. In each case, the mysteries endure, both tantalizing and comforting, reminding us that history is not only a record of the known, but also a mirror of the unknown. As darkness settles outside, and as your mind drifts along the gentle contours of this ancient landscape, allow yourself to wander without urgency. Let each mystery unfold slowly, like a story whispered from one generation to the next. Listen to the echoes of lives long gone, feel the weight of stone and the pull of memory, and embrace the quiet wonder of not knowing. It is here, in the stillness, that the ancient world truly comes alive, its secrets preserved, its questions eternal, and its beauty untouched by the rush of modern life. In the end, the ancient world remains mysterious not because we lack intelligence or curiosity, but because it is vast, layered, and profoundly human. Every civilization, monument, artifact, and story carries with it fragments of thought, belief, and experience that defy full comprehension. They are reminders that history is not a linear path toward understanding, but a labyrinth of shadows and light, where certainty is rare and wonder is abundant. And as we begin our exploration of 100 unsolved mysteries, we do so with patience, reverence, and an open mind, ready to wander through the twilight of human history, guided by curiosity and quiet awe. Across the vast tapestry of human history, some civilizations appear almost as if from nowhere. One moment, the land is sparsely inhabited, a mosaic of scattered tribes and small communities. The next, there are cities, thriving economies, complex social hierarchies, and artistic achievements that rival the sophistication of later eras. These sudden bursts of development have long fascinated historians and archaeologists alike, for they raise profound questions about the origins of human organization and ingenuity. How could such societies emerge with sophisticated architecture, written language, and trade networks seemingly already in place, without leaving clear traces of earlier, formative stages? In many cases, the more we learn about these early civilizations, the more elusive their beginnings become. Sumer, often regarded as the cradle of civilization, offers one of the clearest examples. Located in the fertile lands between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, the Sumerians built city-states like Uruk, Ur, and Eridu, complete with monumental architecture, ziggurats, and intricate systems of irrigation. Yet, their sudden emergence in the historical record leaves scholars puzzled. Archaeological evidence hints at settlements stretching back centuries before the rise of Uruk, but the jump from small villages to fully realized urban centers remains difficult to fully explain. Their writing system, cuneiform, appeared almost fully formed, allowing for the recording of complex legal codes, trade transactions, and literature. How, it seems, did such an elaborate system of thought and administration arrive so swiftly? Across the globe, similar phenomena can be observed. The Indus Valley Civilization, sprawling across what is now Pakistan and northwest India, thrived with remarkable sophistication around 2500 BCE. Cities like Mohenjo-daro and Harappa featured advanced urban planning, with neatly laid streets, standardized weights and measures, and efficient drainage systems. Their script, etched on seals and tablets, remains undeciphered, leaving modern scholars only a partial understanding of their governance, culture, and daily life. Yet, when archaeologists investigate the layers beneath the urban centers, there is little evidence of a gradual evolution from simpler settlements to these meticulously planned cities. The sudden complexity of the Indus cities raises questions about the sources of their knowledge and the networks that allowed such ideas to flourish simultaneously across a broad region. Even in the Americas, we find civilizations that emerge with startling sophistication. Norte Chico, located along the Peruvian coast, existed as early as 3000 BCE, predating the better-known civilizations of Mesoamerica. Its monumental architecture, including sunken plazas and massive stone structures, reflects an advanced understanding of engineering and social organization. Yet, this civilization left virtually no written record, and its rise appears largely independent of external influence, leaving historians to wonder how knowledge, culture, and innovation developed in such isolation. How did these societies, separated by vast distances and oceans, reach similar heights of complexity? The parallels suggest that human ingenuity is both universal and mysterious, capable of flourishing in diverse environments, yet often leaving us questioning the pathways that led there. The sudden emergence of civilization also challenges modern assumptions about progress and development. We tend to imagine history as a steady march forward, with each generation building incrementally on the knowledge of the previous one. Yet, ancient civilizations often demonstrate abrupt leaps in organization, technology, and art. While gradual development certainly occurred in many cases, there remain significant gaps in the record. Moments where society seems to have appeared fully capable, as if the knowledge and skills required for urban life have been gifted rather than painstakingly cultivated. These gaps are not mere curiosities. They hint at larger, perhaps hidden, networks of knowledge, trade, and cultural exchange that have vanished from the historical record. Equally intriguing are the mysteries surrounding early trade and communication networks. The Sumerians traded extensively with regions that now form modern-day Iran, Turkey, and beyond, exchanging tin, copper, and luxury goods. The Indus Valley maintained long-distance trade with Mesopotamia, suggesting not only economic sophistication, but also an understanding of diplomacy, negotiation, and cultural adaptation. Yet, the routes, methods, and intermediaries that enabled these exchanges often remain obscure, leaving us to wonder how such distant regions maintained regular contact without the technologies we take for granted today. It is a reminder that our ancestors were capable of far more than we often credit them for, but that much of their ingenuity has slipped silently into the shadows of history. Some scholars propose that the emergence of these civilizations was aided by environmental factors. Fertile river valleys, access to water, and favorable climate conditions may have created the conditions for agriculture, population growth, and eventually urbanization. Yet environment alone cannot account for the remarkable cultural achievements, the standardized weights, sophisticated architecture, and writing systems that appear with little precedent. These accomplishments suggest not just opportunity, but intention, planning, and a collective understanding that remains partially hidden from our modern perspective. The contrast between the apparent suddenness of these developments and the depth of knowledge required to achieve them continues to fascinate and challenge researchers. In contemplating these civilizations, one cannot help but notice the delicate interplay between what is known and what is lost. Archaeology offers tantalizing glimpses into daily life, pottery fragments, tools, and remnants of dwellings, but cannot fully capture the richness of thought, belief, and ritual that once animated these societies. And yet, within these fragments, there are whispers of genius, innovation, and vision that transcend time. Every stone carefully placed, every tablet inscribed, every irrigation canal carved into the earth represents a conscious effort to shape the world, to impose order upon it, and to leave a trace of human presence for the future. And yet, despite these enduring marks, the full story remains incomplete. The allure of these early civilizations lies not only in their achievements, but in the shadows that surround them. The uncertainty about their beginnings provokes curiosity, inviting us to consider possibilities beyond the conventional narrative of linear progress. Were these societies guided by lost knowledge? Did they inherit skills from even earlier, vanished cultures? Or were they the product of independent genius, rising spontaneously from the fertile soil of human ingenuity? We may never know for certain, and perhaps that is part of their enduring fascination. As we explore these origins, it is important to move slowly, allowing the imagination to fill in gaps without forcing conclusions. Each ancient city, each early society, is a window into a world that is at once alien and familiar. Through their achievements, we see reflections of our own desires to build, to understand, to connect, and to leave a mark on the world. And yet, the mysteries that remain, those gaps in knowledge, those abrupt transitions, remind us of the fragility of memory and the limits of historical record. There is a quiet humility in recognizing that, despite millennia of study, some questions may never be answered, some origins forever obscured. In this exploration of vanished beginnings, we begin to sense the contours of a larger pattern. Civilization is not a simple, linear story, but a mosaic of sudden appearances, brilliant achievements, and gaps in understanding. These early societies challenge us to think differently about human potential and the complexity of our ancestors' lives. They invite reflection on the vastness of time and the small, fleeting nature of individual human experience. And perhaps most compellingly, they call upon us to remain curious, patient, and open to the wonder that arises when we acknowledge how much remains unknown. As we leave behind the enigmatic beginnings of these civilizations and prepare to examine the ways in which they sometimes vanish as mysteriously as they emerged, we carry with us a sense of both awe and quiet contemplation. There is beauty in their accomplishments, but there's also a subtle tension in the knowledge that we glimpse only fragments of their stories. Each discovery is a light in the darkness, illuminating a portion of the past, yet casting long shadows where certainty cannot reach. This balance between clarity and mystery will guide us as we move forward, from the sudden emergence of human achievement to the equally puzzling disappearance of entire cultures. Even as some civilizations emerged with remarkable speed and sophistication, others vanished just as suddenly, leaving behind traces that are tantalizing yet incomplete. The ruins they left, stone foundations, scattered artifacts, and remnants of monumental architecture, speak of lives once vibrant, of bustling cities and intricate societies. Yet the reasons for their disappearance are often shrouded in uncertainty, leaving historians and archaeologists to piece together fragments of evidence, to imagine possibilities, and to accept that some answers may never be fully known. The mystery of vanished civilizations carries a peculiar resonance, a haunting reminder of the impermanence of human achievement and the subtle fragility of even the most advanced societies. The Maya civilization, whose cities once rose majestically across the jungles of Central America, offers one of the most evocative examples. Great stone temples, ball courts, and palaces remain, entwined with the roots of towering ceiba trees, yet the cities were largely abandoned by the 9th century. Scholars have long debated the causes. Was it prolonged drought, environmental degradation, warfare between city-states, or social upheaval? Perhaps it was a combination of many factors, interacting in ways that overwhelmed a once thriving civilization. What remains most mysterious is not merely the fact that the cities were abandoned, but that so much knowledge, astronomy, mathematics, writing, was preserved in records and artifacts, only to be left behind when life in the cities ceased. Across the Middle East, the Nabateans provide another puzzle. The city of Petra, carved into rose-colored cliffs, is a testament to their ingenuity in engineering and trade. Water systems, monumental tombs, and intricate facades reveal a people capable of remarkable planning and creativity. Yet by the 7th century, the Nabatean civilization had largely disappeared from history, absorbed or displaced by shifting trade routes and the rise of new powers. Their language and many cultural practices vanished alongside them, leaving only the silent, enduring city as a witness to their former brilliance. The contrast between the grandeur of Petra and the mystery of its creator's disappearance invites reflection on the impermanence of even the most seemingly permanent achievements. In the Mediterranean, the sudden decline of the Bronze Age civilizations, Mycenaeans, Minoans, Hittites, and others, remains a profound enigma. Archaeological evidence shows that within a few decades, cities were destroyed or abandoned, trade networks collapsed, and writing systems fell out of use. Scholars have proposed earthquakes, invasions by so-called sea peoples, famines, and systemic social collapse, but none of these theories fully account for the scale or synchronicity of the decline. The abruptness of these collapses, juxtaposed against centuries of steady growth and development, creates a compelling tension between understanding and mystery. In the ruins of Mycenae, the echoes of a once powerful civilization linger in tombs adorned with gold masks and fortresses perched on hilltops, yet the people themselves have disappeared into history. Further east, the Indus Valley civilization also presents an unresolved puzzle. By around 1900 BCE, major cities like Harappa and Mohenjo-daro had been largely abandoned. The well-planned streets, sophisticated drainage systems, and organized urban centers fell into silence. Unlike the Maya, however, there is little direct evidence of warfare or climatic disaster. Did shifting river courses undermine agriculture and trade? Did social or political pressures cause gradual migration away from cities? Or was there some other force, now obscured by time and sediment, that led to the decline of one of the world's earliest urban societies? The mystery persists, amplified by the fact that their written script remains undeciphered, leaving questions about governance, religion, and daily life unanswered. In South America, the city of Tiwanaku in the high plains of Bolivia rises as another example of sudden decline. Once the center of a sprawling civilization capable of remarkable architectural and agricultural feats, Tiwanaku's population dwindled and its influence faded over time. The reasons remain speculative. Climatic changes in the Altiplano, social unrest, or shifts in trade and resources may have contributed. Yet despite its decline, the city's monumental gates and precisely cut stone structures endure, challenging our understanding of the skills and knowledge possessed by its builders. The lingering presence of Tiwanaku is a silent testament to a society that once thrived and then, for reasons we can only partially guess, faded into history. Even small civilizations, seemingly insignificant to modern eyes, have left traces that hint at sudden endings. In Africa, the Kingdom of Kush thrived in Nubia with advanced metallurgy, trade networks, and monumental architecture. Cities like Meroe rose along the banks of the Nile. Yet over time, Kushite dominance waned, and many urban centers were abandoned. In Asia, the city of Angkor, capital of the Khmer Empire, faced dramatic shifts, with massive temple complexes eventually falling into disuse and being reclaimed by jungle growth. These examples illustrate a recurring pattern. Societies may flourish with extraordinary achievements, yet environmental pressures, political instability, or shifts in human networks can lead to their abrupt disappearance. The vanishing of these civilizations invites reflection on the delicate balance between human ambition and the forces of the natural world. Cities rise, monuments are built, and knowledge accumulates. Yet all of it exists within a larger ecosystem that can change unpredictably. Drought, volcanic eruption, shifting trade, and even disease could destabilize a society, sometimes with little warning. The contrast between the permanence of stone and the impermanence of civilization becomes evident. Human creations may endure for millennia, but the people themselves and the knowledge they carry can disappear with startling speed. This pattern of sudden emergence and disappearance also serves as a reminder that the record we have of the past is incomplete. For every civilization that left remarkable ruins or inscriptions, countless others may have been erased entirely, leaving only whispers in oral traditions or faint impressions in the archaeological record. Our understanding of ancient history is shaped as much by absence as by presence, and in that absence lies much of its fascination. We are left to imagine societies whose stories are partially told, whose voices reach us only through fragments of pottery, stone, or sediment. These gaps create space for curiosity, inviting us to wander in contemplation of what might have been. There is a quiet poetry in contemplating vanished civilizations. As we trace the paths of their rise and fall, we begin to see the fragility and brilliance of human endeavor in parallel. We recognize the ingenuity and creativity required to build cities, carve monuments, and sustain complex societies. And yet, we also confront the impermanence inherent in all things, the inevitability of change, and the mystery that surrounds the reasons for disappearance. Each ruin is a portal to the past, a silent story that challenges the mind and soothes the imagination, a gentle reminder that history is not a simple narrative of progress, but a rhythm of emergence and loss, of light and shadow, of questions that remain unanswered. As we prepare to move from vanished civilizations to the monumental structures and megaliths they sometimes left behind, we carry with us both awe and contemplation. These societies, though no longer present, have left physical legacies that continue to inspire wonder and curiosity. Stone temples, city walls, and ceremonial platforms serve as enduring testaments to human ingenuity, while the mysteries of why they were abandoned or destroyed linger in the shadows. It is this delicate interplay of knowledge and uncertainty, presence and absence, that forms the foundation of our exploration into the ancient world. A world filled with brilliance, sudden endings, and enigmas that continue to invite reflection. Across continents and millennia, humanity has left behind structures that defy our expectations, monuments whose sheer scale, precision, and complexity continue to inspire awe. From the windswept plains of England to the deserts of the Middle East, from the mountains of South America to the lush forests of Southeast Asia, megalithic architecture stands as a testament to human ingenuity and perseverance. Stonehenge rises in the English countryside, its massive sarsen stones arranged in an alignment that still fascinates astronomers and engineers alike. Each stone, weighing many tons, must have been transported, lifted, and positioned with methods that remain only partially understood. The arrangement suggests knowledge of celestial patterns, perhaps indicating solstices or lunar cycles, hinting that those who built it had a profound awareness of the cosmos. And yet, the purpose of this monumental circle, ritual, calendar, or something more enigmatic, remains a subject of speculation, its true meaning concealed beneath layers of history and imagination. Thousands of miles away, in what is now southern Turkey, Göbekli Tepe emerges from the desert as an even older testament to human skill. Dated to nearly 12,000 years ago, its stone pillars are intricately carved with animals, abstract symbols, and figures whose significance has eluded scholars. The complexity of the site, constructed by people who had not yet fully adopted agriculture, challenges assumptions about the relationship between settled life and monumental building. How could hunter-gatherer societies organize the labor, knowledge, and resources required to erect these massive stones? The answer remains shrouded in mystery, a reminder that human creativity and determination have always been capable of transcending the limitations of circumstance. In the deserts of the Middle East, Baalbek in modern-day Lebanon stands as a marvel of scale and engineering. Massive blocks of stone, each weighing hundreds of tons, form the foundation of what would become Roman temples. Even by today's standards, the transportation and placement of these stones would pose an enormous challenge. How the builders quarried, moved, and precisely set these megaliths is still debated. The contrast between the enduring permanence of stone and the ephemeral nature of human endeavor is stark. Baalbek whispers of civilizations that commanded immense knowledge of physics, mathematics, and logistics, yet whose methods are now largely lost to time. The very stones seem to ask questions. How and why were these structures built? What knowledge guided their creation? The Egyptian pyramids, perhaps the most iconic of all megalithic structures, continue to captivate the imagination. The Great Pyramid of Giza rises with a precision that has sparked debate for centuries. Its alignment with cardinal points, the uniformity of its massive blocks, and the intricacy of its internal chambers reflect a civilization of extraordinary skill. Scholars continue to debate the exact methods used to transport and assemble these stones, but the deeper mystery lies in the purpose and symbolism behind the structure. Beyond serving as a tomb, was the pyramid designed as a cosmological map, a ritual site, or an embodiment of ancient philosophical ideas? Each hypothesis offers insight, yet leaves open questions, allowing the monument to retain an aura of enigma that has lasted for millennia. Moving to South America, the Inca civilization left its own indelible mark on the landscape through megalithic construction. At sites like Sacsayhuaman and Ollantaytambo, enormous stones are fitted together with such precision that not even a thin blade can be inserted between them. These structures have withstood earthquakes, erosion, and the passage of centuries, suggesting advanced knowledge of engineering and an understanding of structural stability. Unlike the pyramids of Egypt, the Inca did not use mortar, yet their walls endure as a testament to meticulous planning and craftsmanship. The purpose of these constructions, defensive, ceremonial, or both, blends function with mystery, inviting speculation about the social and religious life of the people who built them. Further east, the stone constructions of Angkor in Cambodia reveal a similar fascination with monumental scale and alignment. Temples like Angkor are oriented to celestial bodies, and the city itself was carefully planned around waterways, reservoirs, and canals. The technical mastery required to manage such a complex urban system, integrating both architecture and hydrology, speaks to an advanced understanding of engineering and environmental adaptation. The sheer magnitude of Angkor's constructions, combined with their gradual abandonment over time, evokes the same sense of mystery as other megalithic sites. How did these civilizations conceive, organize, and realize projects of such scale and sophistication? And what social, spiritual, or cosmic vision guided their creation? Beyond these famous examples, smaller yet equally enigmatic megalithic sites pepper the globe. The Moai of Easter Island, standing as silent sentinels over the Pacific. The stone circles of Nabta Playa in the Egyptian desert, aligned with distant stars, and the dolmens of Korea, Japan, and Europe, whose original purposes have long been forgotten. Each structure represents a profound engagement with material, space, and time. They are expressions of human thought encoded in stone, a language whose meaning is partially lost but still capable of evoking awe. The pattern of alignment, the scale of construction, and the recurring motifs of these sites hint at universal principles of ritual, cosmology, and social organization. Yet the absence of definitive explanations leaves them suspended between history and mystery. The persistence of megalithic mysteries lies not only in their physical presence, but in the cognitive gap between ancient and modern capabilities. We look at these structures and struggle to imagine the social organization, knowledge systems, and sheer determination required to build them. The contrast between what we know and what we cannot know creates a kind of quiet tension, a space for contemplation that is at once humbling and exhilarating. There is a rhythm to these constructions, a harmony between human ambition and the natural environment that speaks of thoughtfulness, ritual, and vision. And yet, the methods, motivations, and meanings often elude us, leaving only the enduring stones to silently pose questions across the ages. In examining these sites, we also confront the idea that human creativity and technical skill are not bound by modern notions of progress. Ancient builders solved problems, manipulated materials, and envisioned projects in ways that rival or surpass what we often assume to be contemporary achievement. The physical evidence left behind, stone blocks perfectly cut, walls aligned with the heavens, monuments resisting the wear of centuries, demonstrates not only ingenuity, but also a deep understanding of permanence and legacy. And yet, despite their brilliance, the civilizations that built these structures were not immune to decline, disaster, or disappearance. The stones remain, but their makers have faded into the shadowy reaches of history. There is also an aesthetic mystery to megaliths. Beyond their technical feats, they carry symbolic weight, often reflecting spiritual or cosmological beliefs. Carvings, alignments, and spatial organization suggest that these constructions were meant to convey meaning, to embody ideas about life, death, and the universe. Yet the precise interpretations are often lost to time. What did these builders intend for those who stood within or approached these monuments? What rituals, celebrations, or contemplations were enacted in their presence? The questions are endless, yet the act of asking them brings us closer, in a meditative way, to understanding the minds of people long gone. As we move beyond megaliths to explore underground spaces, hidden chambers, and secret tunnels, the lessons of these monumental structures remain. They remind us that human beings have long been capable of remarkable feats, driven by curiosity, devotion, and imagination. They also remind us that knowledge can endure even when civilizations fade, and that mystery is as enduring as stone itself. The megaliths are markers of ambition, vision, and unanswered questions, standing as bridges between the known and the unknown, the visible and the invisible. In their silence, they invite us to pause, to observe, and to marvel at the ingenuity of those who came before us, setting the stage for the next layer of ancient enigmas waiting just beneath the surface. Beneath the surface of the earth, hidden from sunlight and ordinary sight, lie spaces carved by human hands, by natural forces, or perhaps by a mixture of both, that continue to captivate our imagination. Labyrinthine tunnels, secret chambers, and subterranean cities offer glimpses into worlds that were once vibrant but are now silent, echoing only with the faint memory of footsteps and rituals long forgotten. These underground spaces evoke a sense of intimacy and mystery, as if the earth itself has kept the secrets of our ancestors close to its chest, waiting for the patient to wander its corridors. They are places of shadow and quiet, where the ordinary rules of life above ground give way to darkness, stillness, and profound intrigue. Consider the underground cities of Cappadocia in modern-day Turkey. Hidden beneath rolling hills and volcanic rock, these multi-level complexes stretch hundreds of feet below the surface. Carved from soft, tough stone, they contain living quarters, kitchens, wells, stables, and even places of worship. The scale and sophistication of these subterranean networks are remarkable, suggesting careful planning and an understanding of ventilation, structural integrity, and defensive design. Some of these spaces could shelter thousands of people for extended periods, pointing to a society capable of organization and foresight beyond what casual observation might reveal. The purpose of these cities remains partially mysterious. Were they refuges from invaders, secret religious sanctuaries, or centers for trade and governance hidden from view? Perhaps they served all of these functions, or perhaps their true meaning has been lost entirely to time. Far beneath the Mediterranean coast, the hypogeum of Halsaf-Fleni in Malta presents another enigma. This underground temple, carved over several levels, contains intricate chambers, altars, and funerary spaces, its walls etched with spirals and motifs that have resisted full interpretation. Dating back to around 4000 BCE, it predates the Egyptian pyramids and showcases a sophistication that defies assumptions about prehistoric societies. The acoustics of certain chambers suggest an awareness of sound and vibration, implying rituals or ceremonies designed with a sensory experience in mind. Yet the hypogeum's builders left no written record to explain their intentions, leaving us to wonder at the combination of architectural skill, spiritual purpose, and human ingenuity that shaped this extraordinary subterranean space. In Egypt, beneath the Sphinx and surrounding the Giza Plateau, there are tunnels and chambers that continue to invite speculation. Some are natural formations that were expanded by human hands, while others remain sealed, their contents unknown. Ancient texts hint at hidden chambers, lost tombs, and secret repositories, yet modern exploration has only scratched the surface of these mysteries. Archaeologists debate whether these spaces served religious, ceremonial, or protective functions. The contrast between what is known and the possibilities hidden in darkness enhances the allure of these subterranean realms, drawing the mind into contemplation of what may still lie concealed beneath stone and sand. South America offers its own hidden worlds beneath the earth. In the Andean highlands, extensive cave networks were used for burial, ritual, and perhaps habitation. These caves are often carved into solid rock, adorned with carvings and offerings, and sometimes connected by passages whose full extent is unknown. The Terrari caves and other hidden complexes suggest that ancient peoples sought the shelter, silence, and symbolism of the subterranean world, perhaps as a means of connecting with spiritual forces, concealing their treasures, or marking significant ritual events. Each passage, each chamber, carries the echo of human intention and ingenuity, whispering stories that remain tantalizingly incomplete. In North America, native cultures created underground ceremonial spaces and storage pits, often integrated into the landscape in ways that remain subtle to the modern observer. From the Hopewell culture's earthworks in the Ohio River Valley to ancestral Puebloan kivas in the American Southwest, these subterranean constructions reveal a careful understanding of spatial organization and symbolic meaning. They remind us that underground spaces were not merely functional. They were imbued with spiritual, social, and cultural significance. In descending below the surface, ancient peoples created a separate world that reflected their beliefs, values, and communal life, one that now invites our imagination to wander through silent halls and echoing chambers. There are also hidden worlds that seem deliberately designed to be secret, whose entrances were concealed or guarded. In some cases, Access required knowledge of hidden passages or coded symbols, ensuring that only certain individuals could enter. This secrecy adds layers of intrigue. Why were these spaces hidden? What activities took place there? Were they sanctuaries for meditation and worship, safe havens during conflict, or repositories of sacred knowledge? The act of hiding, of going beneath the surface, suggests an awareness of both danger and the sacred, and a deliberate intention to preserve something beyond the reach of ordinary eyes. These subterranean mysteries carry a unique kind of resonance, different from the towering monuments above ground. Here, the weight of the earth presses close, the air is still, and shadows move in unexpected ways. Sound behaves differently, amplifying footsteps or ceremonial chants. Darkness is both literal and metaphorical, emphasizing the unknown. In these spaces, the imagination can drift freely, guided by the faintest evidence of human presence, faint carvings, remnants of pottery, or the arrangement of stones. They are places that invite reflection on the passage of time, the endurance of human creativity, and the persistence of secrets that refuse to be fully revealed. The tension between what is visible and what remains concealed underlies the fascination of subterranean spaces. Unlike surface structures, which are open to sunlight and public observation, underground chambers are intentionally removed from casual view, enhancing the sense of mystery. They suggest planning, foresight, and a relationship with secrecy, survival, or the sacred. And yet, despite their hiddenness, they leave traces, hints that can be interpreted, analyzed, and speculated upon. Every step taken in these tunnels is a journey into the unknown, a quiet adventure across time, where the imagination fills the spaces that history has left blank. As we consider these hidden realms, it becomes evident that subterranean constructions are not merely practical. They represent a dialogue between human ambition and natural forces. The earth becomes both medium and partner, its properties shaping the architecture and experience of those who dwell within. Whether carved into soft volcanic tuff, limestone, or granite, these chambers demonstrate an understanding of structural integrity, climate control, and acoustic phenomena that is remarkable for their time. They remind us that ancient peoples were observant, adaptive, and inventive, capable of creating spaces that were functional, symbolic, and aesthetically resonant all at once. Descending into these spaces also encourages a shift in perspective. From above, we often view ancient civilizations in terms of surface architecture, visible cities, and monumental achievements. But beneath our feet lies a different world, one that emphasizes intimacy, ritual, protection, and hidden knowledge. These spaces challenge our assumptions about ancient priorities and capabilities. They remind us that much of what is meaningful about human life can occur out of sight, in silence, in darkness. The mystery of subterranean worlds is therefore both literal and philosophical, inviting reflection on what is seen, what is hidden, and what is lost to time. Finally, the allure of lost tunnels, caves, and underground cities lies in their ability to connect us to the human past in a visceral way. Walking through these spaces, one can almost feel the hands of those who carved, shaped, and occupied them. The weight of the stones, the narrowness of passages, the faint traces of fire or ritual, all create a sense of shared experience across millennia. These are places where human ingenuity meets natural environment, where survival, spirituality, and secrecy intertwine. And while many questions remain unanswered, how they were built, who exactly inhabited them, and for what full purpose, they continue to captivate, inviting quiet contemplation and a deep appreciation for the creativity and resilience of ancient peoples. Some of the most tantalizing mysteries of the ancient world are not built of stone or carved into cliffs, but written in symbols and signs whose meaning has been lost to time. Untranslated scripts and vanished languages act as silent sentinels of civilizations long gone, preserving fragments of thought, ritual, and knowledge that we can glimpse but not fully understand. These enigmatic texts offer an intimate connection with the minds of ancient peoples, yet they frustrate our modern desire for comprehension. In their indecipherability lies a subtle beauty. They remind us that human communication is both fleeting and enduring, that words can survive millennia even as their meaning fades into shadow. One of the most famous undeciphered scripts is the Indus Valley script, discovered on clay seals and tablets dating back to around 2500 BCE. Despite decades of scholarly effort, these symbols have resisted translation. They appear in consistent patterns, suggesting a system of writing or proto-writing. Yet the language they encode remains unknown. The brevity of the inscriptions adds to the challenge. Most contain only a handful of symbols, making it difficult to detect grammar, syntax, or context. Was this script used for administrative purposes, ritualistic expression, or storytelling? We cannot say for certain, and the silence of the Indus symbols deepens the mystery of a civilization already remarkable for its urban planning and technological sophistication. Equally intriguing is linear, the script of the Minoans on the island of Crete, which dates back to approximately 1800 BCE. Though related in form to Linear B, the later script that was deciphered as an early form of Greek, Linear, it has resisted all attempts at interpretation. It survives on clay tablets, religious artifacts, and inscriptions across palaces and sanctuaries, suggesting it was used for record-keeping, ritual, and communication within Minoan society. Yet, the language behind it remains unknown, and scholars can only hypothesize about its meaning. The contrast between the familiar shapes of the script and the complete lack of understanding invites contemplation. Here is a civilization whose thoughts were once expressed in symbols, now locked in a silent dialogue across time. The Rongorongo script of Easter Island presents another enigma. Carved onto wooden tablets, it is a rare example of writing developed in relative isolation, far from other known writing systems. Some suggest it may encode genealogies, religious chants, or historical events, but no one has yet cracked its code. The disappearance of the language it represents may be tied to cultural collapse, disease, or colonial disruption. Yet the carvings endure, their rhythmic lines and enigmatic forms hinting at knowledge now inaccessible. Each glyph is both a promise and a mystery, a whisper from the past that invites quiet reflection rather than immediate comprehension. In the Americas, the Mayan script demonstrates both the promise and the frustration of ancient writing systems. Unlike Linear A or Rongorongo, the Mayan script has been largely deciphered, revealing complex records of history, astronomy, and ritual. Yet even here, gaps remain. Many codices were destroyed, erasing vast amounts of knowledge. Some symbols have multiple interpretations, and certain texts remain resistant to full understanding. The surviving inscriptions remind us that language is fragile and that the survival of texts is often subject to chance, war, and decay. The Mayan experience illustrates the delicate balance between preservation and loss, and the power of writing to both illuminate and conceal. Across Eurasia, other vanished languages whisper from inscriptions, stelae, and manuscripts. The Phaistos disc from Crete, with its spiral of stamped symbols, remains one of archaeology's most enigmatic artifacts. Every attempt to decode it has only deepened the mystery, and we are left to admire the craftsmanship while grappling with our inability to read its message. Similarly, the Etruscan language of ancient Italy survives in inscriptions on tombs and objects, yet much of its vocabulary and grammar remains obscure. Through these texts, we sense lives, ideas, and cultural expressions that cannot fully reach us, leaving a haunting resonance that is part intellectual puzzle, part poetic meditation. The study of untranslated scripts offers a unique window into human cognition and the universality of curiosity. Across continents and epochs, people have sought to preserve knowledge, encode ritual, and communicate across time. Even when the language disappears, the act of writing itself, impressing symbols into clay, carving into stone, etching onto wood, speaks to a profound desire for permanence. There is a rhythm and order in these symbols, a reflection of thought and culture that invites contemplation even without translation. Their mystery is not a failure of understanding, but a call to patience and imagination, a gentle reminder that some truths may never be fully captured, yet can still inspire wonder. The allure of these scripts is heightened by the human stories they conceal. Each undeciphered symbol represents the thoughts of individuals who lived, dreamed, and created in worlds very different from our own. Perhaps they recorded rituals for the dead, recounted historical events, or encoded scientific observations about the stars, the seasons, or the land. Perhaps some are playful, poetic, or purely symbolic. The absence of definitive interpretation allows the imagination to roam, creating a bridge between modern curiosity and ancient creativity. In that quiet space, we feel a connection across time, recognizing that the impulse to record, to communicate, and to be remembered is a fundamental aspect of being human. Untranslated scripts also remind us of the fragility of memory and knowledge. Wars, conquest, natural disasters, and cultural shifts have repeatedly erased languages, leaving only tantalizing traces behind. In some cases, a language may vanish while leaving its influence embedded in architecture, ritual, or oral tradition. The survival of even a few inscriptions becomes miraculous, allowing us to glimpse the cognitive landscape of a vanished society. In that glimpse, there is both awe and melancholy, a sense of discovery tinged with the awareness of what has been lost forever. These ancient symbols, though silent, exert a subtle power over the imagination. They encourage reflection not just on what they meant, but on the processes of human thought, culture, and memory. The attempt to understand them is an exercise in patience, observation, and empathy, a quiet meditation on the continuity of human curiosity. Even in failure to fully decode them, there is knowledge to be gained about symbolism, about the universality of communication, and about the ways in which humans across time have sought to leave traces of themselves. As we move from the mysteries of written language to the mysteries of objects, tools, and artifacts whose purposes are still debated, we carry with us the sense that much of the ancient world communicates in a language of its own, one that is subtle, fragmentary, and layered with meaning. Every undeciphered script is a reminder that history is not simply a record to be read, but an experience to be felt, a journey to be undertaken with patience, reverence, and curiosity. In these silent symbols, the voices of the past whisper to us, inviting us to slow down, to imagine, and to listen to what has endured beyond comprehension. Scattered across museums, archaeological sites, and hidden caches, ancient artifacts of unknown purpose offer a quiet, persistent mystery that continues to intrigue scholars and enthusiasts alike. These objects, crafted with care and intention, were clearly significant to the people who made them, yet their exact function, meaning, or symbolism has been lost to time. Unlike monumental architecture or written scripts, which provide clues through scale, context, or symbolism, these smaller artifacts challenge our understanding in a more intimate, tactile way. They invite speculation and contemplation, prompting us to consider the values, beliefs, and daily lives of ancient peoples whose intentions remain just beyond our grasp. Take, for instance, the intricate crystal skulls found in Mesoamerica. Carved from quartz with astonishing precision, these skulls exhibit smooth surfaces and finely detailed features that suggest advanced knowledge of stonework. Some are small enough to be held in a hand, while others are large and imposing. Scholars have debated their origin, purpose, and authenticity for decades. Were they ritual objects intended for spiritual or healing ceremonies? Did they serve as symbols of power, remembrance, or divination? Or were they purely decorative, objects of aesthetic beauty that transcended practical function? The truth remains elusive, and the crystal skulls, whether genuine artifacts of ancient origin or later creations, continue to capture the imagination, shimmering with the mystery of craftsmanship, that seems almost otherworldly. In Europe, the Bronze Age artifacts known as the Nebraska disc offer another puzzle. This small, circular bronze disc, inlaid with gold symbols, appears to depict the sun, moon, and stars, hinting at astronomical knowledge far advanced for its time. Its exact purpose, however, is uncertain. Was it a practical tool for tracking celestial events, a ceremonial object to mark solstices and equinoxes, or a symbolic representation of cosmology and belief? The discovery of the disk suggests that ancient peoples were keen observers of the sky, capable of translating complex patterns into durable, meaningful forms. Yet the scarcity of similar artifacts leaves many questions unanswered, and the disk's true significance remains suspended between scientific deduction and imaginative interpretation. Some artifacts are more mundane in appearance, but no less enigmatic in purpose. The so-called Baghdad battery, a clay jar containing a copper cylinder and iron rod, has sparked speculation that it might have been used to generate electricity in antiquity. Its design is simple, yet intriguing, hinting at the possibility of ancient experimentation with technology that seems far ahead of its time. Was it truly an electrical device, or merely a storage vessel, a ritual object, or something else entirely? While experimental archaeology has offered hypotheses, definitive answers remain elusive, leaving the object suspended in a liminal space between historical possibility and mystery. Across Asia, small carved objects, from jade figurines to metal tools, pose similar questions. The Liangzhu culture in China, for example, left behind finely worked jade sewn and by discs, whose geometric precision suggests symbolic or ritual significance. The meanings of these shapes, circles, squares, and other forms, are not fully understood, though they appear repeatedly across burial sites and ceremonial contexts. These artifacts reflect a culture with a sophisticated sense of form, design, and perhaps cosmology, yet their exact function remains a puzzle, inviting both scholarly study and quiet meditation. The objects themselves become vessels of imagination, connecting us to a worldview that is partially lost yet still resonant. Even ordinary tools can become enigmatic when context is missing. In the British Isles, small bronze implements, enigmatic stone carvings, and peculiar pottery formed from the Neolithic and Bronze Age provide tantalizing hints about daily life, trade, and ritual, yet many cannot be definitively categorized. Were they ceremonial, functional, or symbolic? Did they serve practical purposes we no longer recognize, or were they intended to communicate ideas beyond immediate utility? Each artifact is a small window into a world that is simultaneously familiar and alien. Familiar because it represents human creativity, yet alien because its original meaning is inaccessible. The mystery of these artifacts is amplified by their survival across millennia. Many were intentionally buried, preserved in tombs, caches, or sacred sites, suggesting that their creators understood their value and sought to protect them from decay or theft. Others were lost to time, only to be rediscovered centuries later, often in fragmented or incomplete form. The fragmentary nature of these objects adds layers of ambiguity. A missing piece can transform an otherwise recognizable tool into a puzzle, challenging assumptions and fueling speculation. The silence of the artifacts, what they do not tell us, is as compelling as the information they provide, inviting the mind to wander and imagine. Some artifacts suggest purposes that may never be fully understood. The Roman dodecahedra, small 12-sided objects made of bronze or stone, have been found across Europe, yet no one knows exactly what they were used for. Were they measuring devices, astronomical tools, religious symbols, or toys? Their consistent geometric form hints at intentional design, yet their function is lost. Similarly, enigmatic stone spheres found in Costa Rica, smooth and almost perfectly round, leave us to wonder about the effort, purpose, and meaning behind their creation. These objects serve as reminders that human curiosity, ingenuity, and ritual have long extended into forms that challenge our expectations and invite reflection. Artifacts of unknown purpose encourage us to consider the relationship between material culture and human cognition. Every object is a record of thought, skill, and intention. It embodies choices about material, shape, size, and function. Yet when the cultural or symbolic context is lost, the artifact becomes a riddle, prompting us to ask fundamental questions about human perception, creativity, and values. Why was this object made? What did it signify to its creator or user? How did it fit into daily life, ritual, or belief systems? Even without answers, the process of questioning deepens our connection to the past. These enigmatic artifacts also highlight the interplay between the known and unknown. Unlike monumental ruins, which we can walk through and measure, these smaller objects invite intimate contemplation. They require close observation, patience, and imagination. Each curve, carving, or where marked becomes a clue, a trace of human presence and thought. In studying them, we develop a quiet dialogue with those who lived long ago, learning to observe not only what they left behind, but also the subtle spaces between what is preserved and what has been lost. Ultimately, ancient artifacts of unknown purpose serve as a bridge between history and mystery. They remind us that human experience is not entirely accessible through facts alone. Imagination, speculation, and empathy are required to approach the thoughts and lives of people from millennia past. They prompt us to slow down, to examine details, and to appreciate the craftsmanship, creativity, and intention embedded in small objects. In doing so, we honor the people who made them and acknowledge that the past is not merely a record to be decoded, but a landscape of wonder, questions, and enduring mystery. As we move forward from these intimate and perplexing objects to the broader mysteries of astronomy, calendars, and ancient knowledge of the skies, the artifacts leave us with a quiet sense of connection. They are tangible reminders that human curiosity, ingenuity, and devotion to meaning are timeless, and that even in the absence of complete understanding, there is beauty in observation, reflection, and the persistent pursuit of knowledge. Long before modern telescopes and sophisticated instruments, ancient civilizations turned their gaze skyward, seeking to understand the movements of the sun, the moon, the planets, and the stars. Across continents, societies developed calendars, observatories, and alignments with celestial events, revealing a profound awareness of the cosmos that continues to astonish. In many cases, the precision with which these ancient peoples observed the heavens suggests knowledge that seems surprisingly advanced, raising questions about how such understanding was achieved and what purpose it served. The night sky became both a practical guide and a source of inspiration, linking the temporal cycles of human life to the eternal rhythms of the universe. Stonehenge, in the rolling plains of southern England, is one of the most famous examples of early astronomical observation. Its massive stones are aligned with solstices, marking the longest and shortest days of the year. For thousands of years, the rising sun has cast shadows across the stones in ways that reveal not only careful observation, but also symbolic intent. The question that lingers is whether these alignments were primarily functional, measuring time and seasons, or ceremonial, connecting human life to cosmic patterns. Perhaps they were both, serving as a place where practical knowledge and spiritual reflection intertwined, a bridge between the earthly and the celestial. Far to the east, the ancient Maya cultivated an intricate understanding of the heavens. Mayan codices record detailed observations of planetary cycles, eclipses, and the movements of Venus, which were linked to agricultural planning, religious ceremonies, and prophecy. Their architecture, from pyramids to observatories, reflects an alignment with these celestial events, embedding cosmic knowledge in the very fabric of their cities. The sophistication of Mayan astronomy is remarkable, particularly considering that it was achieved without modern instruments. How this knowledge was accumulated, transmitted, and applied remains a source of fascination, hinting at a society deeply attuned to the rhythms of both the sky and the earth. In South America, The Inca civilization also demonstrated remarkable astronomical awareness. The walls of Machu Picchu and other Incan sites contain structures aligned to solstices and equinoxes, and the Torian at Machu Picchu may have functioned as a solar observatory. Agricultural practices were closely tied to these observations, allowing communities to predict planting and harvest times with precision. The integration of astronomy into daily life reflects a worldview in which human activity and celestial cycles were inseparable, revealing a culture that observed the cosmos not as a distant spectacle, but as a living guide for survival, ritual, and social organization. Across the Pacific, Polynesian navigators achieved feats of astronomical and oceanic knowledge that remain astounding. Long before modern compasses, these seafarers relied on the positions of stars, the behavior of waves, and the flight patterns of birds to traverse vast expanses of ocean. Their understanding of the sky was not merely theoretical. It was practical, guiding voyages across thousands of miles of open water. In many ways, this knowledge functioned as a mobile observatory, translating celestial observation into survival, exploration, and the expansion of human presence across islands. The precision and reliability of this knowledge challenge our assumptions about the limits of ancient observation and understanding. Even in more enigmatic contexts, celestial knowledge manifests in striking ways. The Nazca lines of Peru, massive geoglyphs etched into the desert floor, may reflect astronomical alignments in addition to symbolic, ceremonial, or religious purposes. While some theories suggest that these lines functioned as calendars, mapping constellations and solar movements, others propose that they were created to honor deities or serve as ritual pathways. Regardless of the interpretation, the sheer scale and precision of these designs imply an awareness of cosmic patterns and a sophisticated ability to translate observation into enduring forms. Across Europe and Asia, megalithic structures often contain astronomical elements. The stone circles of Nabta Playa in the Egyptian desert, for instance, are aligned with the summer solstice, suggesting early attempts to predict the flooding of the Nile and to plan agricultural activity accordingly. Similarly, in ancient China, circular and square arrangements of stones and ceremonial platforms indicate awareness of celestial cycles and the symbolic integration of the heavens into governance and ritual. These patterns reflect a consistent theme across cultures. The sky is both a practical guide and a source of spiritual and cultural meaning. One of the most compelling aspects of ancient astronomy is its precision. Despite the absence of telescopes or electronic instruments, many civilizations recorded celestial cycles with remarkable accuracy. Observations of eclipses, planetary movements, and solstices were translated into calendars, ceremonial schedules, and agricultural planning. How this knowledge was developed and passed down, often orally or through symbolic notation, remains a profound mystery. The continuity and reliability of these systems speak to long-term observation, careful record-keeping, and an intimate relationship with the natural world. The philosophical and spiritual dimensions of ancient astronomy are equally intriguing. For many cultures, the movement of celestial bodies was deeply intertwined with concepts of fate, divinity, and the rhythm of life. Temples, pyramids, and ceremonial spaces were not merely functional. They encoded a worldview in which humans were participants in a vast cosmic order. Observing the heavens became a way of understanding existence, of marking time, and of connecting earthly life to patterns that transcended individual experience. This duality, practical observation married with spiritual reflection, is a hallmark of many ancient astronomical endeavors and a source of enduring fascination. Ancient astronomical knowledge also highlights the contrast between what is known and what remains uncertain. While we can measure alignments, calculate dates, and analyze structures, the intentions of the people who created them remain partially hidden. Did they understand gravitational forces? Could they predict complex planetary motions beyond immediate observation? What rituals accompanied these observations, and how did they shape societal behavior? The absence of written explanation in many cases leaves space for imagination, reflection, and poetic meditation, allowing us to engage with these mysteries in a way that is both intellectual and contemplative. In contemplating these celestial achievements, we are reminded of the universality of human curiosity. Across time and space, people have looked to the sky with awe, seeking to understand, to predict, and to connect. From monumental stone circles to intricate codices, from desert geoglyphs to oceanic navigation, the knowledge encoded in these observations is both practical and transcendent. It demonstrates that human beings, regardless of era or geography, have consistently sought patterns, meaning, and guidance in the cosmos. As we prepare to shift from the heavens to the hidden energies, anomalies, and unexplained phenomena recorded by ancient civilizations, the study of ancient astronomy leaves us with a profound sense of continuity and wonder. The sky, both familiar and mysterious, provides a lens through which we can explore the ingenuity, belief systems, and enduring curiosity of humanity. In tracing these patterns, we connect with minds long gone, feeling the quiet resonance of thought, observation, and reverence that has spanned millennia. Across the ancient world, myths and legends were far more than fanciful stories. They were vessels of cultural memory, coded warnings, and glimpses into how early humans made sense of the unknown. In this section, we wander through the landscapes of imagination where beasts roamed, gods descended, and humans stood at the border between reality and wonder. From the soaring dragons of East Asia to the colossal serpents whispered about in the rivers of Europe, these creatures captivated both fear and fascination. Legends of creatures like the Sphinx, the Minotaur, and the Griffin reveal how societies merged natural observation with symbolic meaning. The Sphinx, with its enigmatic gaze carved from stone, reflects the enduring human desire to understand the balance between mortal life and divine mystery. The Minotaur, trapped in a labyrinth of shadows, represents a complex weave of morality, fear, and ritual, reminding us that many myths were as much about navigating human behavior as they were about imaginary creatures. We drift gently into the folklore of the Americas, where feathered serpents like Quetzalcoatl glide between history and myth, bridging the earthly and the celestial. These legends often encode astronomical knowledge or social law, hiding practical wisdom in layers of storytelling. Similarly, tales of giant sea monsters along the coasts of ancient civilizations may have originated from rare encounters with massive whales, or perhaps they arose entirely from the human mind's fascination with the unknown depths. The narrative explores how myths could serve as a mirror, reflecting both cultural values and deep-seated fears. Were these creatures warnings of the natural world's dangers, allegories for human conflict, or records of beings long vanished? In some cases, fossil discoveries may have inspired myths, as prehistoric bones hinted at dragons and giants in the fertile imaginations of early storytellers. The interplay between observation, interpretation, and imagination underscores the delicate dance between fact and fiction that pervades our understanding of the ancient world. By the end of this section, viewers feel a quiet wonder at how humanity has always sought meaning in mystery. Legends and mythical creatures exist as reminders that the world of the ancients was alive with both the seen and the unseen, a space where imagination could roam as freely as the winds across untamed landscapes. We move forward from these stories, carrying their echoes into the exploration of lost treasures and the tangible remnants of history that still elude our understanding. The ancient world is scattered with stories of treasures whose glimmering presence once shaped kingdoms, inspired ambition, and even sparked wars. Yet, for every hoard chronicled in history, countless others have vanished into obscurity, swallowed by time, nature, or human greed. In this section, we drift slowly through the tales of lost riches, not as a hunt for wealth, but as an exploration of the deeper mysteries they represent. These treasures serve as silent witnesses to the ambitions, fears, and dreams of civilizations long gone, offering us fleeting glimpses into the lives of those who came before us. We begin with the legendary gold of the pharaohs, whose tombs were adorned with unimaginable wealth. Yet many were plundered long before modern archaeologists arrived. Cleopatra's treasures, spoken of in whispers and scrolls, have inspired countless quests across the Nile, yet few traces remain. The allure of these riches is entwined with the mystery of human desire, the yearning to possess not only material wealth, but also a connection to the divine and eternal. Further east, the treasures of the Mongols and ancient Chinese dynasties tell stories of cities buried under sand and soil, artifacts concealed for centuries, and riches lost to the passage of generations. The tomb of Qin Shi Huang, famed for the Terracotta Army, is rumored to contain rivers of liquid mercury, a macabre blend of ambition and mystique. Here, fact brushes against speculation, and the line between what existed and what is imagined is delicately blurred, allowing the mind to wander through shadowed halls of golden splendor. In the Americas, the Incan and Aztec treasures evoke the vast wealth that once defined empires. Hidden caches in the mountains, lakes, and deserts were sometimes secreted away to prevent conquest or plunder, leaving only tantalizing clues behind. Gold, jade, and sacred relics disappeared into the folds of history, their precise locations a mystery even to those who inherited the lands they once ruled. Each lost treasure carries with it stories of devotion, fear, and the impermanence of human ambition, reminding us that value is often as much about meaning as it is about metal or gem. Some treasures became legends, like the fabled Amber Room in Russia, whose dazzling panels were lost during the chaos of war. Others, like pirate hordes whispered about in Caribbean coves, straddle the line between historical record and myth. The narrative gently emphasizes that these lost riches, while materially significant, serve a more profound role in human imagination. They're symbols of memory, longing, and the unending curiosity that propels us to uncover the past. By the end of this section, viewers sense that the allure of lost treasures lies not merely in the hope of discovery, but in the mysteries they carry, stories suspended in time, waiting to be glimpsed. As we leave these gilded shadows behind, the narrative naturally turns toward human lives themselves, mysteries that remain unsolved and stories that ended too soon. Even in the distant past, human life was touched by acts of mystery and violence, leaving behind traces that continue to puzzle historians and archaeologists. In this section, we move quietly into the darker corners of ancient civilizations, exploring murders, disappearances, and unexplained deaths whose motives and perpetrators remain unknown. These unsolved crimes serve as stark reminders that even societies steeped in ritual, knowledge, and grandeur were not immune to the shadows of human behavior. The narrative emphasizes the contrast between the sophistication of ancient life and the darkness that lurked just beyond the reach of understanding. We begin with the puzzling deaths in royal courts, where intrigue and betrayal were often masked by ceremony. Pharaohs and emperors sometimes vanished suddenly, leaving successors and scribes to reconstruct narratives from fragments of evidence. The murder of Egyptian rulers or the mysterious fate of certain Mesopotamian kings reminds us that power, despite its grandeur, was inseparable from danger. Even with inscriptions and chronicles, the precise reasons and actors behind these events often remain hidden, leaving only whispers in stone and parchment. Archaeological discoveries of skeletons bearing signs of violence further deepen the sense of mystery. Mass graves, sometimes found far from known battlefields, suggest conflicts and atrocities whose context is lost to time. In some cases, forensic analysis can reveal how these individuals died, yet why and by whom often remains inscrutable. The narrative gently emphasizes the interplay between tangible evidence and the invisible human story behind it, inviting reflection on the lives abruptly ended and the questions left unanswered. Ancient disappearances, too, hold a haunting fascination. From entire villages that vanished without trace to travelers who never returned from long journeys, The voids left in history spark speculation and wonder. Legends often grew around these absences, blending fact and myth, as communities sought to explain the inexplicable. These stories reveal not only the fragility of life, but also the human tendency to weave narrative from uncertainty, turning fear into memory and loss into legend. Even ordinary crimes, like theft or local murder, can gain monumental significance when they occur in cultures whose records were sparse or highly selective. A single unsolved case may ripple through generations, inspiring moral tales or cautionary myths, blurring the line between historical truth and storytelling. The narrative here is slow and contemplative, allowing viewers to dwell on the weight of lives disrupted, the silence of the missing, and the human fascination with unraveling mysteries that resist resolution. By the end of this section, the audience is immersed in the shadows of the past, understanding that the ancient world, for all its achievements, held darkness and uncertainty just as profoundly as it held beauty and knowledge. These unsolved crimes prepare the way for the next chapter, where tangible yet perplexing archaeological anomalies challenge everything we think we know, inviting viewers to drift further into the unexplained. Throughout the ancient world, archaeologists and historians occasionally stumble upon discoveries that challenge conventional understanding, prompting more questions than answers. This section invites viewers to wander through the enigmatic terrain of archaeological anomalies, artifacts, structures, and skeletal remains that do not fit neatly into established historical narratives. These mysteries evoke a delicate tension between what is accepted as fact and what remains unresolved, cultivating an atmosphere of calm curiosity and reflection. We begin with objects whose sophistication seems far ahead of their time. The Antikythera mechanism, a complex ancient Greek device capable of predicting astronomical events, hints at knowledge once thought impossible for its era. Similarly, intricate carvings and statues found in unexpected locations suggest connections between cultures that historians struggle to trace. These artifacts challenge assumptions about the progression of technology and cultural exchange, prompting us to question how much knowledge has been lost, suppressed, or simply forgotten over the centuries. Structures, too, can defy explanation. Megalithic temples, pyramids, and tombs often reveal alignments with celestial phenomena so precise that they seem to transcend the tools and understanding of their builders. Some sites feature architectural techniques that remain enigmatic, such as massive stones transported and positioned with extraordinary accuracy. Viewers are encouraged to imagine the ingenuity and determination of ancient hands, bridging the distance between their world and ours while embracing the uncertainty that surrounds these feats. Skeletal anomalies add another layer to this narrative. Remains with unusual proportions or unexpected features, whether unusually tall, robust, or shaped in ways that differ from surrounding populations, pose questions about the diversity of ancient humans and the stories that have been lost with time. Were these traits the result of genetic variation, selective breeding, or perhaps even legends of giants that inspired myth for generations? The narrative lingers here, balancing scientific inquiry with the poetic allure of unanswered questions. Some anomalies are smaller, yet equally perplexing. Objects that seem purely decorative may encode symbolic or mathematical knowledge, while tools whose materials defy modern replication provoke admiration and wonder. Every discovery that eludes simple explanation becomes a portal, inviting viewers to ponder both human ingenuity and the boundaries of our understanding. By the end of this section, audiences feel suspended between evidence and imagination, grounded in the real, yet hovering over the possible. These anomalies prepare the stage for the next section, where forbidden knowledge and hidden wisdom stretch the boundaries of what history has allowed us to know, inviting a contemplative exploration of secrets long kept from view. Across the ancient world, knowledge was often carefully guarded, accessible only to select individuals, priestly orders, or secret societies. This section explores the hidden realms of wisdom, texts, artifacts, rituals, and teachings preserved from public view, inviting viewers to wander through a world of lost insight and mysterious understanding. These repositories of knowledge, sometimes locked in hidden chambers or passed down orally through generations, hint at a depth of human comprehension that we are only beginning to glimpse. The narrative emphasizes the tension between what has been preserved, what has been lost, and the tantalizing possibility of rediscovery, fostering a contemplative atmosphere of awe and curiosity. We begin with the legendary libraries of the ancient world, the most famous of which is the Library of Alexandria. This repository, said to contain countless scrolls detailing science, philosophy, history, and the mysteries of the cosmos, was destroyed in fire, leaving only fragments behind. The narrative lingers on the enormity of such a loss, imagining the worlds of thought and understanding that vanished with the flames. While some texts survived through copies, others disappeared forever, leaving modern scholars to reconstruct ideas from indirect references. This contrast between abundance and absence creates a reflective mood, reminding viewers that history is shaped as much by what has been lost as by what has survived. Secret knowledge was not confined to libraries. Many civilizations maintained teachings that were deliberately restricted. In ancient Egypt, initiates of the priesthood were privy to complex astronomical, mathematical, and spiritual understandings. These teachings guided rituals, governance, and architecture, yet were often encoded in symbolic language, incomprehensible to outsiders. Similarly, in Mesoamerica, the Maya preserved knowledge of celestial cycles and calendars within specialized priestly lineages, sharing insights only with those trained in ritual observation. Across continents and cultures, the pattern is consistent. Human societies recognized that certain knowledge was potent and therefore fragile, requiring careful guardianship. Artifacts themselves often carried hidden meaning. Amulets, talismans, engraved stones, and ceremonial objects were not merely decorative. They encoded knowledge accessible only to those who understood the symbolic language. The enigmatic Phaistos disc, inscribed with symbols still undeciphered, may be one such example, a carefully constructed message preserved for those who knew how to read it. Similarly, cryptic inscriptions in temples or tombs suggest layers of ritual and philosophical knowledge, hinting that what we perceive is only the surface of a much deeper current of understanding. The narrative emphasizes the subtle tension between what is visible and what is hidden, inviting viewers to dwell in the mystery. Oral traditions were another method of safeguarding forbidden knowledge. In some cultures, stories, rituals, and teachings were transmitted only to initiates, often accompanied by strict taboos about sharing them with the uninitiated. These oral lineages preserved practical wisdom, astronomical observations, medicinal remedies, agricultural techniques, and spiritual philosophies, while wrapping them in narrative and allegory. Over time, fragments of these teachings entered public knowledge as myths or legends, leaving tantalizing hints of deeper insight. The interplay between secrecy and storytelling demonstrates how human understanding can survive in hidden forms, waiting patiently for rediscovery. Certain religious and mystical practices were intentionally veiled. From the initiation rites of Eleusis in ancient Greece to the secret ceremonies of shamanic societies in Siberia and the Americas, the acquisition of knowledge was bound to personal transformation, ethical preparation, and spiritual readiness. These rituals were designed to reveal truths incrementally, guiding participants toward insight that could not be gained passively. The narrative here moves slowly, allowing viewers to sense the reverence with which knowledge was held and the care with which it was transmitted, creating a meditative sense of calm wonder. Even in later periods, knowledge was selectively preserved or suppressed. Texts on alchemy, astronomy, medicine, or philosophy were sometimes hidden to prevent misuse, misinterpretation, or social disruption. The idea that wisdom could be dangerous is a recurring theme throughout history. Some knowledge might have allowed technological advancement, challenged religious orthodoxy, or shifted political power. By considering these possibilities, the audience is encouraged to reflect on the complex relationship between power, secrecy, and the human desire to understand. Forbidden knowledge also raises profound philosophical questions. What does it mean for information to be hidden? How much of what we call progress is shaped by what we are allowed to know? By exploring these questions gently, the narrative encourages viewers to inhabit the space between certainty and mystery, where imagination, speculation, and reflection intersect. Every artifact, manuscript, or oral tradition becomes a portal to a world that exists just beyond reach, inviting both awe and patience. Some examples highlight the mysterious preservation of wisdom. The Dead Sea Scrolls, discovered in caves, contain religious texts, commentaries, and writings that were hidden for centuries. Gnostic manuscripts, similarly, reveal alternative philosophical and spiritual perspectives that challenge mainstream understanding. These texts illustrate that knowledge was often layered, context-dependent, and available only to those with the interpretive keys necessary to unlock their meaning. The narrative emphasizes the beauty of this layered complexity, allowing viewers to appreciate both the ingenuity of the ancients and the limits of our modern comprehension. Finally, the reflection turns to the modern resonance of forbidden knowledge. Even today, there are mysteries, codices, artifacts, and ritual objects that remain partially understood. Some discoveries are intentionally obscured, others simply await interpretation. This continuing sense of incompleteness invites quiet contemplation. Knowledge is not a static inheritance, but a living conversation across time, shaped by curiosity, loss, and rediscovery. Viewers are encouraged to carry forward the sense of wonder cultivated throughout this journey, recognizing that the pursuit of understanding is both eternal and profoundly human. By the end of this expanded section, the audience is immersed in the idea that forbidden knowledge represents both the fragility and resilience of human wisdom. It is a space where the known meets the unknown, where mystery is preserved with reverence, and where imagination can roam freely across the landscapes of history. These reflections naturally lead into the next chapter, where discoveries that challenge everything we know push the boundaries of historical understanding even further, setting the stage for the climax of the documentary. As we move deeper into the shadows of the past, there are discoveries and theories that do more than intrigue. They challenge everything we think we know about human history. This section invites viewers to explore anomalies, lost civilizations, and artifacts that refuse to fit neatly into established timelines. The narrative balances calm reflection with subtle awe, guiding the audience through evidence and speculation, while maintaining the soft, immersive tone that encourages contemplation rather than alarm. The tension between the solidity of mainstream history and the fluidity of unexplained discoveries forms the core of this chapter, allowing curiosity to flourish. We begin with pre-Sumerian societies, whose possible existence before the first civilizations raises profound questions. Evidence of advanced settlements, sophisticated urban planning, and early metallurgy in unexpected regions hints that human ingenuity may have arisen far earlier and in more diverse locations than textbooks suggest. These findings, though often disputed, encourage us to reconsider the linear narratives of progress and to imagine a more complex, interconnected prehistoric world. Lost continents, such as Atlantis, Lemuria, or Mu, linger on the edges of history and myth. While mainstream science remains cautious, archaeological hints and geological anomalies invite speculation. Sunken cities, strange artifacts dredged from ocean floors, and anomalous structures submerged beneath waves whisper of civilizations that might have flourished and disappeared, leaving only fragments behind. The narrative allows these ideas to unfold gently, presenting them as a possibility rather than a certainty, nurturing wonder and quiet curiosity. Monumental structures that defy chronological expectations also occupy this landscape. The Great Pyramids of Egypt, Machu Picchu, and the megaliths of South America and Asia are feats that, in their precision and scale, provoke questions about ancient knowledge, labor organization, and technological skill. Some suggest that these monuments may have been influenced by lost civilizations, shared knowledge across continents, or even ideas that modern scholars have yet to fully comprehend. The narrative emphasizes the awe-inspiring mastery of these constructions, while leaving space for the unknown. Mysterious artifacts further complicate history's neat narratives. Objects such as the Saqqara bird, the Dropa stones, or anomalous metallic relics unearthed in improbable locations hint at ideas, technologies, or journeys that conventional timelines struggle to accommodate. Some may be symbolic, others functional, but all serve as reminders that the past may hold knowledge and experiences beyond our current understanding. These anomalies invite viewers to wonder what other traces of human ingenuity have been lost or overlooked. Even written records contribute to the puzzle. Ancient chronicles, myths, and inscriptions occasionally describe events, technologies, or places that contradict or precede accepted history. When approached with an open mind, they suggest that the human story is not a simple march forward, but a complex tapestry, woven with interruptions, innovations, and forgotten chapters. The narrative here is gentle, allowing these contradictions to stir curiosity without demanding belief, creating a reflective space for the imagination to wander. By the midpoint of this section, viewers are gently carried into the possibility that history is not fixed, that what we accept as fact is only part of a far larger, more intricate story. This leads to the exploration of global patterns, similar myths, architectural motifs, and technological hints across distant civilizations that hint at a shared ancient knowledge, or perhaps a collective human curiosity that transcends borders. The narrative evokes a sense of unity in mystery, a reminder that the past, however fragmented, connects us across time. As the section progresses, attention turns to scientific and archaeological debates. Some discoveries are heavily contested, yet the very act of questioning orthodox history underscores the dynamic, living nature of our understanding. Evidence from ice cores, carbon dating anomalies, and unexpected geological finds suggest that our historical timelines may need revision. Each discovery, whether accepted or controversial, nudges the viewer to hold history lightly, appreciating the delicate balance between certainty and wonder. Finally, this section reflects on the emotional resonance of rewriting history. It is not merely an intellectual exercise. It touches something deeper in the human psyche, the desire to understand origins, to locate ourselves in a continuum that stretches beyond written record. By contemplating lost knowledge, vanished civilizations, and the unexplained, viewers are invited to embrace the mystery, to feel awe without fear, and to recognize the richness of a past that is far larger and stranger than we can fully grasp. By the end of this chapter, the audience is suspended between knowledge and speculation, grounded in evidence, yet uplifted by possibility. This expansive contemplation naturally prepares the mind for the closing reflection, where all these mysteries converge into a quiet meditation on the allure and humbling beauty of the unknown. As our journey through the ancient world draws to a close, we pause to reflect on the profound mysteries that have guided our exploration. This section serves as a gentle meditation on the enduring allure of the unknown, a space where history, myth, and imagination converge. Throughout the ages, humans have sought to understand their place in the cosmos, to leave marks that endure, and to unravel the enigmas of life and death. Yet, for every answer discovered, countless questions remain, suspended in the quiet echoes of time. This final chapter invites viewers to dwell in that liminal space between certainty and wonder, finding comfort in curiosity and calm in contemplation. We begin by revisiting the civilizations that vanished, leaving behind cities swallowed by sand, forests, or water. Their ruins speak to human ingenuity and fragility, reminding us that even the grandest achievements are ephemeral. As we walk softly through the empty streets of lost cities, imagine the voices, laughter, and stories that once animated them. These echoes of life, though silent now, continue to speak through architecture, artifacts, and the traces of daily existence. The narrative encourages the viewer to honor both the brilliance and the impermanence of human endeavor. Next, we reflect on the monuments and megaliths that defy explanation. Stones carved and lifted with remarkable precision, aligned with stars and seasons, remind us of humanity's enduring curiosity about the cosmos. These creations are not just physical objects. They are messages cast across millennia, inviting us to wonder about the minds and hands that shaped them. The mysteries of how and why they were built encourage a sense of humility and awe, bridging the ancient past with our present contemplation. The myths and legends we have explored linger in the mind, offering insight into the human imagination and the ways in which stories shape reality. Creatures of legend, gods and spirits, heroes and monsters, all reflect the hopes, fears, and values of their cultures. Even as their literal existence remains uncertain, their symbolic resonance endures, reminding us that understanding the past is as much about the mind as it is about material evidence. These stories are whispers from ancestors, urging us to think deeply about morality, courage, and the mysteries that lie just beyond perception. Lost treasures and hidden knowledge also guide our reflection. The objects, writings, and teachings that were concealed, lost, or destroyed speak to the complexity of human ambition, curiosity, and the desire to preserve wisdom across generations. These treasures, both material and intellectual, are reminders that the pursuit of knowledge is often as precious as the knowledge itself. The tension between discovery and concealment highlights the delicate balance between what is known, what is forgotten, and what may remain hidden forever. The unsolved crimes, disappearances, and anomalies explored throughout this journey offer a sobering counterpoint. They remind us that mystery is not only inspiring, but also humbling. Human life has always been interwoven with uncertainty, and history often preserves only fragments of truth. In contemplating these shadows, viewers are encouraged to reflect on the fragility, resilience, and complexity of human experience, both ancient and contemporary. Mystery, in this sense, is a teacher of patience and perspective, inviting us to embrace questions rather than rush toward answers. Finally, we pause to consider the overarching rhythm of history itself, the cycles of creation, flourishing, and loss. The ancient world, in all its brilliance and enigma, illustrates that knowledge is never static. It grows, shifts, disappears, and sometimes returns in surprising ways. By embracing the unknown, we honor the depth of human curiosity and the continuity of wonder that connects every generation to the past. The narrative encourages a sense of calm reverence, allowing viewers to drift with the thoughts of civilizations, legends, and discoveries that remain unresolved, appreciating the quiet poetry of mystery itself. As the final words unfold, the audience is invited to carry the feeling of awe into their own lives, to let curiosity linger, to find beauty in the unanswered, and to recognize that the mysteries of the past are not just puzzles to solve, but reflections of the human spirit reaching across time. History, legend, and enigma converge into a gentle meditation, leaving viewers with a sense of peace, contemplation, and the timeless wonder that draws us again and again to the stories of our ancestors.